Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the apartment reverberated from the slam of the door, a piercing shriek shattered the peace within. Can you not fathom how I feel, Tyler? Not in the slightest? Diana's eyes blazed with fury, every syllable echoing determination. Tyler Moore, seated on the couch with his laptop, wearily exhaled, his fingers brushing through the brown locks. Tensions had escalated since their sister Diana was unjustly denied a promotion at her law practice. Drama much, sis? Tyler set aside his laptop, giving Diana his undivided attention. It's not like women haven't already made significant progress in the professional world. Unwilling to remain idle, Diana spun around, the flames of rebellion dancing in her eyes. Dramatic? Really? When Martin got the senior partnership instead of me despite my better case record? When I have to work twice as hard to get half the recognition? Look, I'm not saying sexism doesn't exist, Tyler countered, lifting his hands in surrender. But I think sometimes people blame gender when other factors might be at play. Other factors? Diana's laugh was hollow. Like what? I don't know. Tyler shrugged, his navy t-shirt stretching across his shoulders. Maybe Martin networked better. Maybe he had more seniority. He had 6 months less experience than me, Diana said flatly. And networking better usually means having drinks with the boys' club where women aren't invited or are treated like decorations. Tyler stood up, his 6-foot frame towering over his sister. Everyone faces challenges in their career. I had to learn 3 new programming languages just to stay competitive last year. That's not remotely the same thing. Diana's voice rose. You didn't have to learn those languages while also being interrupted in meetings, having your ideas attributed to male colleagues, or being called emotional whenever you express an opinion. Tyler rolled his eyes. You know what? I think you just want something to blame. It's easier than admitting that maybe, just maybe, Martin was the better candidate. The room went silent. Diana's face flushed red, her hands balled into fists at her sides. You have absolutely no idea what it's like to be a woman in a professional setting, she said, her voice dangerously quiet. None. How could I? Tyler spread his arms wide. But I think you're exaggerating. The workplace can't be that different for women anymore. Diana's eyes narrowed. You really believe that? I do. A slow, calculating smile spread across Diana's face. Then prove it. Tyler blinked. What? Prove it. Live as a woman for 30 days. Experience the workplace, the public transit, everything. As a woman. Then tell me I'm exaggerating. Tyler laughed, the sound echoing in the suddenly tense atmosphere. You're joking, right? Dead serious. Diana crossed her arms. Put your money where your mouth is, big brother. 1 month. You keep your same job, same routine, just as a woman. That's ridiculous. Is it? Or are you just afraid I'm right? Diana challenged. 30 days. Document everything. If at the end you still think I'm being dramatic, I'll never bring it up again. Tyler ran a hand through his hair again, a nervous habit he'd had since childhood. You want me to cross-dress for a month? Come on, Di. Not just cross-dress. Live as a woman. Present as a woman. Experience life as a woman. Diana's expression was unyielding. Unless you're not up to the challenge. Something in her tone sparked Tyler's competitive nature. They'd been like this since childhood, daring each other to climb higher trees, eat spicier foods, take greater risks. He'd never backed down from one of Diana's challenges before.
Fine, he said finally. 1 month, but when I win this bet, you owe me big time.
Diana's smile was triumphant. When you lose, you'll owe womankind an apology. Tyler stood in Diana's bedroom a week later, surrounded by clothing, makeup, and what looked like a small beauty salon's worth of equipment. After agreeing to the challenge, they'd decided he would need preparation time. Diana had taken the week to help him create Olive, the woman he would become for the next month. "Hold still," Diana muttered, bobby pins between her lips as she adjusted the auburn wig on Tyler's head. "This is human hair. Cost me a fortune, but it'll look natural." Tyler grimaced as another pin dug into his scalp. "Ouch. Is this really necessary?" "Beauty is pain, brother dear," Diana said without sympathy, "and we need you to look convincing." The wig was shoulder-length, with gentle waves, the deep auburn color rich and multidimensional. Diana had insisted on this color, claiming it would complement his skin tone while being different enough from his natural brown to help him step into the character. "There." Diana stepped back, examining her handiwork. "Now for makeup." The next hour was a blur of foundation, concealer, eyeshadow, mascara, and various other products Tyler couldn't name. By the time Diana was finished, he barely recognized the face in the mirror. "Amazing what contouring can do," Diana remarked, admiring her work. "You have good bone structure to begin with, which helps." Tyler turned his head from side to side, fascinated despite himself. His jawline appeared softer, his cheekbones more pronounced. The subtle makeup around his eyes made them look wider, more expressive. "Now for the clothes." Diana moved to the closet where she'd assembled an entirely new wardrobe. "We need to make sure everything fits properly." The first outfit was a cream-colored blouse with subtle lace detailing at the collar and cuffs, paired with a navy blue pantsuit. The jacket was tailored to create the illusion of curves, nipping in slightly at the waist before flaring out over the hips. "Try these." Diana handed him a pair of burgundy kitten heels. "Not too high for a beginner, but enough to change your posture and gait." Tyler took the shoes skeptically. "I can't believe I agreed to this." "Too late to back out now." Diana's tone was smug. "Besides, I've already called your workplace and explained you're participating in an extended social experiment. Your boss was surprisingly supportive." "Of course he was," Tyler muttered. "Raj has always been a bit unconventional." After struggling into the pantyhose and figuring out the complicated bra Diana had provided, complete with silicone inserts, Tyler finally stood fully dressed as Olive. "Wow," Diana breathed, stepping back. "You look completely different." Tyler turned to the full-length mirror and froze. The person staring back at him was unrecognizable. The burgundy heels added height and changed his stance entirely. The pantsuit was professional but unmistakably feminine. The auburn waves framed a face that, while still his, had been transformed by Diana's skilled makeup application.
"I look like Mom,"
he said softly, surprising himself with the observation. Diana's expression softened. "You kind of do." She would have found this whole thing hilarious. Tyler ran his hands down the front of the navy jacket, feeling the unfamiliar textures and contours. "I can't believe I'm really doing this." "Believe it," Diana said, her competitive spirit returning. "Starting tomorrow, Tyler goes on hiatus, and Olive takes center stage for 30 days.
"And then I win the bet,"
Tyler added, though his voice lacked conviction as he continued to stare at his reflection. Diana just smiled. "We'll see." Day 1 of the experiment began with an alarm clock blaring at 5:30 a.m., a full hour earlier than Tyler usually woke up.
"Why so early?"
He groaned as Diana bustled around the bedroom, laying out the day's outfit. "Because looking like this takes time," she explained patiently. "Hair, makeup, proper undergarments, outfit coordination. It's a whole process." By 7 a.m., Olive was ready for her first day at work. The burgundy kitten heels clicked against the hardwood floors as she made her way to the kitchen for coffee. "Remember your blog?" Diana called after her. "Document everything!" The blog had been Diana's idea, a way to keep track of Tyler's experiences and ensure he didn't cheat on their bet. She'd set it up under the name 30 Days in Her Shoes, with the premise being a social experiment about gender in the workplace. Waiting for the coffee to brew, Olive, she reminded herself, opened her laptop and typed the first entry. Day 1. Getting ready took forever. How do women do this every day? Already exhausted and haven't even left the apartment. The burgundy heels are pinching my toes. Cream blouse feels nice though, softer than my usual button-downs. The commute to work was the first real test. Standing on the crowded subway platform in her navy pantsuit and burgundy heels, Olive felt exposed, as if everyone was staring. A few people did glance her way, but most were absorbed in their phones or newspapers. When the train arrived, packed as usual with morning commuters, Olive found herself automatically trying to make herself smaller, pulling her arms in close to avoid touching others. A man in a business suit stood too close, his breath hot on her neck. When the train lurched, his hand accidentally brushed against her hip. Olive flinched away, heart racing. At the office, she took a deep breath before stepping off the elevator onto the familiar floor of More Software Solutions. Despite the company name, a coincidence, not a family connection, Tyler had always felt at home here. As Olive, the space felt suddenly alien. "You must be Olive," a cheerful voice greeted her. It was Priya from HR, extending a hand. "Raj told us about the experiment. Very brave of you." "Thanks," Olive managed, her voice higher than normal. Diana had coached her on speaking in a softer, more feminine register. "I appreciate everyone being so understanding." "Of course. We're all very progressive here." Priya led her toward her usual desk. "Same responsibilities, just a different presentation, right?" Olive nodded, grateful to reach the familiar sanctuary of her workstation. As a senior developer, she had a cubicle with high walls and a degree of privacy. She sat down, wincing as the waistband of her pantyhose dug into her stomach, and booted up her computer. The first email in her inbox was a company-wide announcement about a client meeting that afternoon. Olive felt a flutter of panic. She'd known intellectually that she'd have to interact with others, but facing clients as Olive rather than Tyler suddenly felt terrifying. By lunchtime, Olive had encountered her first workplace surprise. Usually, Tyler ate at his desk, coding through lunch while munching on a sandwich. As Olive headed to the break room to heat up her meal, one of the project managers, Derek, intercepted her.
"Hey, we're ordering from that new Thai place. Want to join?"
Tyler had worked with Derek for 2 years and had never once been invited to a lunch order. Olive hesitated, then nodded. "Sure, thanks." In the conference room, she found herself surrounded by colleagues she rarely spoke with, including 2 senior managers. As dishes were passed around, the conversation flowed, touching on projects, clients, and office politics Tyler had never been privy to before.
Olive, what do you think about the Henderson proposal?
Kevin, the sales director, asked between bites of pad thai. Olive blinked, surprised to be consulted. Well, their requirements are ambitious for their budget. We'd need to scale back some of the features or extend the timeline. Kevin nodded thoughtfully. That's what I thought too. Maybe you could help me strategize how to present that to them without losing the account. Of course, Olive agreed, amazed. Tyler had been trying to get involved in client strategy for months, always being told to focus on the coding. Back at her desk, Olive opened her blog and typed furiously. Day 1, update. Already seeing differences. Got invited to an impromptu strategy lunch I never would have been included in before. Being asked my opinion on client relations when Tyler was always told to stay in his lane. Is it because they see Olive as more approachable? Or are they just being nice to the experimental woman? Need more data. The client meeting that afternoon was another eye-opener. Seated around the conference table, Olive presented her portion of the development plan. 3 times, she counted, she was interrupted mid-sentence by male clients. Twice, ideas she suggested were ignored, only to be praised when repeated by Derek minutes later. As I was saying earlier, Derek nodded in her direction, transitioning the legacy system in phases would minimize disruption. Brilliant approach, Derek, the client CEO beamed. That's exactly what we need. Olive pressed her burgundy heel hard against the floor, channeling her frustration into the pressure point. This was exactly what Diana had described, and Tyler had dismissed. That evening, typing in her blog with a glass of wine beside her keyboard, Olive captured the day's revelations. First day, complete. Feet killing me from the burgundy heels. Multiple instances of being interrupted or having ideas attributed to male colleagues, but also invited to strategic discussions Tyler never got access to. Confused by the contradictions. Diana looking smug. Still 29 days to go. By the end of week 1, Olive had settled into a routine. The morning transformation process had become more efficient, though still time-consuming. The burgundy kitten heels, while still not exactly comfortable, no longer caused blisters. The cream blouse and navy pantsuit felt like armor, professional, polished, protecting her as she navigated this new world. Her blog had gained unexpected traction. What started as a private journal for the bet had somehow been discovered and shared across social media platforms. Comments poured in from women validating her experiences and men expressing surprise at the revelations. Day 7. The most exhausting part isn't the physical discomfort of pantyhose or heels. It's the constant awareness of my body, my voice, my posture, my facial expressions. I'm always on, always performing, always conscious of how I'm being perceived. Is this what women feel all the time? That entry had received over 10,000 shares by evening. Diana was delighted by the blog's success. See? People are hungry for this perspective. A man experiencing womanhood firsthand is compelling. Olive frowned, adjusting her auburn wig as they prepared for a rare Saturday outing. It feels weird benefiting from male privilege even while trying to critique it. Would anyone care about these same observations if they came from an actual woman? Diana paused in applying her lipstick, giving Olive a strange look. That's actually a really insightful point. You're taking this more seriously than I expected. Olive shrugged, uncomfortable with her sister's analysis. I'm just trying to be thorough for the experiment. But privately, she had to admit something was shifting. Each day, as Olive felt less like a performance and more like something else, something she wasn't ready to examine too closely. By the middle of the second week, Olive's blog had caught the attention of major media outlets. A producer from a morning talk show had emailed, requesting an interview about the fascinating social experiment. Diana had squealed with excitement, but Olive hesitated. "I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of exposure," she admitted, sitting at the kitchen table in casual weekend wear, jeans and a soft green sweater, still with the auburn wig and minimal makeup. Even on weekends, Tyler remained tucked away, the bet requiring full commitment to living as Olive. "But this is huge!" Diana protested. "Your blog is starting important conversations. Imagine the impact you could have on national television." Olive twisted a strand of auburn hair around her finger. "Let me think about it. This whole thing is more complex than I anticipated." That complexity extended to the workplace, where Olive's relationships continued to evolve in unexpected ways. The inclusion in strategic meetings continued, but she'd also noticed other patterns. Her technical suggestions were frequently questioned or required more supporting evidence than those from male colleagues. Meanwhile, she was consistently asked to take notes in meetings or order lunch for the team, tasks never assigned to Tyler. Most disturbingly, Derek, who had initially been so welcoming, had begun standing too close during conversations, finding excuses to touch her shoulder or arm, and messaging her about non-work topics after hours. Day 15. Derek asked me to dinner tonight to discuss the project. When I suggested including the rest of the team, he said it would be more productive with just the two of us. Made me wonder how many productive dinners I never knew about when department decisions were being made. Declined and felt immediate anxiety about potential career repercussions. Is this what women mean by no-win situations? The blog comment section exploded with women sharing similar experiences. By morning, the post had been viewed over 100,000 times. "Your blog is going viral," Diana announced, bursting into Olive's room as she was preparing for work, carefully applying mascara as she'd been taught. "Like, seriously viral. A publisher just emailed me. They want to discuss turning this into a book." Olive's hand jerked, leaving a black streak across her cheek. "What? That's ridiculous. It's just a bet between siblings." "It's more than that now." Diana's expression was serious as she handed Olive a makeup wipe for the mascara mistake. "You're giving voice to experiences women have been trying to articulate for years, but from a perspective that makes people listen differently." Olive wiped away the streak, considering. "But it feels fraudulent. I'm not really living the full female experience. I don't have the lifetime of conditioning, the childhood experiences, the everything else." "No, you don't," Diana agreed. "But you're experiencing enough to understand it's real, which is more than most men ever do." Later that day, sitting in her cubicle in the now familiar navy pantsuit and burgundy heels, Olive found herself staring at the book proposal in her email. The publisher wanted her to expand the blog into a full memoir of her month-long experience, with reflections on gender, workplace dynamics, and personal transformation. Personal transformation. The phrase echoed in her mind as she absent-mindedly ran her fingers over the soft lace detail on her cream blouse's cuff. Was she being transformed by this experience? The burgundy heels that had once felt so foreign now felt like an extension of herself. The routine of applying makeup had become almost meditative. The weight of the auburn hair against her neck felt right. Day 15. Update. A publisher wants to turn the blog into a book. Feeling conflicted. Also realized today I no longer think of these clothes as a costume. When did that happen? The burgundy heels feel like mine now. Not sure what to make of that. The third week brought a turning point. The morning talk show producer had been persistent, and finally, Olive agreed to an interview, remote, not in studio, to discuss the blog and the experiences it documented. Sitting in front of her laptop, wearing her navy pantsuit with the cream blouse, auburn hair carefully styled, Olive waited for the video call to connect. Diana hovered nearby, giving last-minute advice. Remember, keep it focused on the workplace observations. That's what people are connecting with. Olive nodded, though something inside her rebelled at the limitation. The workplace dynamics were only part of what she'd been discovering. The interview began smoothly, with the host asking about the origin of the experiment and the unexpected popularity of the blog. Olive described the initial bet with her sister and her skepticism about gender differences in professional settings.
And what's been the most surprising discovery so far?
The host asked, leaning forward with interest. Olive paused, considering. The prepared answer was about meeting dynamics or differential treatment. Instead, she found herself saying, "The most surprising thing has been realizing how much of myself I've been suppressing all along." The host's eyebrows rose.
Can you elaborate on that?
Olive took a deep breath, aware of Diana's wide-eyed stare from beyond the camera's view. I started this thinking I was putting on a costume, playing a role, but the more time I spend as Olive, the more I realize this doesn't feel like a disguise. In some ways, it feels like removing one. A loaded silence followed. The host, a veteran interviewer, recognized a powerful moment.
Are you saying this experiment has uncovered aspects of your identity you weren't previously aware of?
I think... Olive swallowed hard. I think it's shown me possibilities I never let myself consider. Ways of being in the world that always felt forbidden. The interview continued, but that exchange became the clip that circulated online, generating thousands of comments and discussions about gender identity, societal expectations, and personal authenticity. After the call ended, Diana approached cautiously. That got deep fast. Are you okay? Olive nodded slowly, still processing her own words. I think I need some time alone. That evening, instead of writing in her blog, Olive sat on the edge of her bed, the burgundy kitten heels placed carefully beside her. She ran her fingers over the smooth leather, remembering how foreign they had felt just weeks ago. Now they felt precious, meaningful, essential. The next morning, she wrote the most personal blog entry yet. Day 22. I need to be honest, with all of you, but especially with myself. This experiment has become more than research into workplace gender dynamics. It's become a journey into my own identity. The burgundy heels that once felt like torture devices now feel like they belong to me, in a way my old shoes never did. The person I see in the mirror with auburn hair and subtle makeup doesn't feel like a disguise anymore. Every morning I wake up and feel a moment of rightness when I remember I get to be Olive today. What does that mean? I'm still figuring it out. But I know this isn't just about winning a bet anymore. The comments section filled with messages of support, questions, and personal stories from readers who had experienced similar revelations about their gender identity. The publisher called, even more excited about the book's potential with this new dimension. At work, Olive noticed her colleagues responding to her differently as well. The initial novelty of the experiment had worn off, and people had begun treating her simply as Olive, a female colleague. Some interactions remained problematic. Derek's continued inappropriate attentions, the persistent requests to handle administrative tasks, but she had also formed genuine connections with coworkers who had previously kept their distance from Tyler. Day 25. Priya from HR asked if I've considered what happens after the 30 days. I didn't have an answer. The thought of going back to being Tyler full-time creates a hollow feeling in my chest. What does that mean? Diana says we need to talk about next steps, whatever those might be. The final days of the experiment approached with a sense of both accomplishment and dread. Olive had documented hundreds of interactions, patterns, and reflections, creating a rich dataset that undeniably supported Diana's original assertions about gender differences in the workplace. The bet had been conceded. Diana was right. Tyler had been wrong, but that simple resolution felt increasingly irrelevant as the deeper questions loomed. What happens on day 31? Diana asked gently, sitting across from Olive at their kitchen table. When the experiment is officially over? Olive stared into her coffee cup, the burgundy heels tucked neatly under her chair, the navy pantsuit exchanged for casual weekend wear, though still decidedly feminine. The auburn hair fell softly around her face, no longer feeling like a wig but simply her hair. I don't know if I can go back, she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Or if I want to. Diana reached across the table, squeezing her hand. I think part of you has known that for a while now. Olive nodded slowly. When I started this, I thought I knew who I was. Tyler. Straightforward, logical, uncomplicated. But being Olive hasn't felt like playing a character. It's felt like coming home. So maybe Olive isn't the experiment, Diana suggested. Maybe Tyler was. The words hung in the air, crystallizing something Olive had been feeling but couldn't articulate. Tears welled up, spilling onto her cheeks. What do I do now? Whatever feels right, Diana said simply. But you don't have to decide everything today. And whatever you choose, I'm here. On the final day of the official experiment, Olive published her last scheduled blog post. Day 30. 30 days ago, I embarked on what I thought was a simple challenge to experience the workplace as a woman and document the differences. I expected to find some subtle biases, perhaps, but nothing that would fundamentally change my worldview. I was wrong in ways I never anticipated. Yes, I experienced the interruptions, the idea theft, the casual dismissals Diana had described. I witnessed the impossible double standards, be assertive but not aggressive, be friendly but not too friendly, be competent but not threatening. I felt the exhaustion of constant performance, the mental load of managing others' perceptions, the emotional labor expected without recognition. But beyond these external observations, I discovered something far more profound and personal. In becoming Olive, I found a truth about myself I'd been avoiding for years. The burgundy kitten heels that pinched so terribly on day one have become my favorite possession, not because they're particularly comfortable, they're not, but because of what they represent, a step into authenticity. What began as a contentious bet evolved into a journey of self-discovery. The cream blouse, with its delicate lace details, the navy pantsuit tailored to create the illusion of curves, the auburn hair that frames my face. All of these external elements have helped reveal something internal that was always there, waiting to be acknowledged. So what happens tomorrow, on day 31? The experiment ends, but the journey continues. Olive isn't disappearing. In many ways, she's just beginning. Thank you for walking these 30 days with me. For those who've shared your own stories in the comments, you've helped me feel less alone in this unexpected transformation. The book will tell the complete story, all the complicated, messy, beautiful details of finding yourself in the last place you expected to look. And Diana, you were right about everything, including things you didn't even know you were right about. I owe you more than I can ever repay. The post went live at midnight. By morning, it had been shared tens of thousands of times. The publisher called with a formal contract offer. 3 talk shows requested interviews. An advocacy organization for transgender rights reached out about a potential partnership, but Olive was focused on something else entirely. Standing in front of the mirror in her bedroom, she carefully removed the auburn wig, revealing the short brown hair beneath. After a moment's contemplation, she picked up her phone and made an appointment at a salon. "I'd like to grow my hair out," she told Diana afterward. "My natural color, but long. Like the wig, but real. Mine." Diana smiled. "I think that would be beautiful. And I need to make an appointment with a therapist who specializes in gender identity," Olive continued, her voice steadier now. "I want to explore this properly, with professional guidance." "Already researched some options," Diana admitted, pulling out a list. "Whenever you're ready." Olive took the list gratefully. "I don't know exactly where this path leads, but I know I need to follow it." "One step at a time," Diana agreed. "Or one burgundy heel at a time, as the case may be." Olive laughed, the sound lighter and more genuine than any Tyler had ever produced. The burgundy kitten heels sat on her dresser, no longer just shoes, but symbols of a journey, from a reluctant bet to an authentic life, from performance to truth, from Tyler to Olive. The 30-day experiment was over, but the real story was just beginning.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!